I already went.
Hi guys and welcome to the Gin and Tonic Show. We help Muslims and non-Muslims to handle Islam in the 21st century. My name is Mustafa and this is my co-host in the nick of time. If you wish to talk about Islam, the ideology, you have come to the right place. We cover current Islamic news, Islamic scripture, some crazy comments, and a weekly topic about Islam to examine, critique, and analyze. If this is not enough Islam for you, please drop by our Discord to discuss any further questions about Islam. We condemn any form of discrimination, violence, misogyny, slavery. However, we do embrace free speech and criticism if it's factual and correct. Thank you for stopping by and enjoy the Gin and Tonic Show.
Good evening, everybody. Or good afternoon, everybody. If you're in Canada, how is everybody today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm okay. And we're joined by a guest today, a special guest, Riz. How are you today?
I am good.
All right. So Riz is an ex-Muslim, and she's our guest for today in our show. But before we interview Riz, we're gonna look at some crazy comments that Nick wants to present us.
So yeah, I actually have two comments that are two topics I want to address before. First is this tab here. Our favorite friend, Daniel
Oh my
Hakikachu.
God. Daniel Hakikachu, Mr. Pikachu, that is. We love calling him that. So this is a
So
topic. This is a topic. Should women go to college? Is that even a topic? Oh
well, apparently it is.
my God!
And here's the comments of his best friends.
Can you let me just zoom in a bit? Yeah. Which one? Oh, Sarkis says to accuse Daniel of having connections to extremist groups is honestly disturbing. How can the sister throw out statements like this, knowing that this could put Daniel's and his family life in danger? People who do things like this should be shunned. Immediately, like the misogyny, the immediate misogyny. Women in general are more vindictive. That's their nature. What is wrong, Rizal? What do you think of this? Riz, what do you think of this?
Well, just another Islamic thought. What else can I say?
She's oh my goodness! Immediately, and yes, she can debate anything, but speaking false, it is itself denying Quran. According to Quran, not fabricating false. Even if someone tell her that Daniel is doing person, what is he saying? What is Nesru Abami saying? Identifying his position, I'm not against her. I'm against her. Against?ing? Is that even a word? Against?ing her Muslim brother by false accusation. She's she's actually talking about something like she's doing what Western country did on Iraq by accusing Iraq having nuclear weapon. Her position is Western agenda is not Islamic Quranic position. Yes, of course she can debate in genuine way, but doing fallacy is not good for her. Oh boy.
So, woman going to college is equivalent of America attacking Iraq for nuclear weapons.
Yeah, this is so bullshit. Like this bullshit. Like, and then this. I personally think it is a waste of time to talk to feminist Muslim. Feminists in general don't have a rational position. Yeah, Riz, you were saying?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, he's like they express their position not based on their design, but based on their whatever they feel. What is wrong? Since when are problems solved based on emotions? Oh man, do I have some facts? Do I have some harsh truths to tell this guy? They were how dangerous it is. She thinks it's all fun and joke, and her meme presentation.
Yeah, and then
Oh
let's read
wow,
the.
this is a hypocritical compliment. Like Madan is against women going to college, but then he married a woman who went to a university. I think I saw that comment somewhere.
Yeah, Yeah, and this one's actually hilarious as well.
Must watch every sister and parent. As a sister, what I learned from this debate as a summary is that we sisters have to first stick to our priorities, our roles in Islam, family obligations. Everything else, talent studies comes secondary. By all means, pursue Islamic education and non Islamic, or maybe even career, as long as it doesn't override our true priorities, raising families in a strong, stable Islamic background. We don't have to be in constant mixed environment with non-Muslims. As Brother
It's
Daniel
not
said,
Muslims, it's Mahrams.
or non-mahrams. Oh wow, because it's a bit of a blur. Yeah, non-mahrams. Wow. As Brother Daniel said, we don't have to go the same lizard hole the West pursue an education. That possible means to other possible means. I hope I understand it, or at least, well, the feminist Islamic clash can be very confusing. I just recognize my priorities and I must stick with them, inshallah.
So
Just
yeah, how was that?
wow. What do you
This is
think, Corinne?
this is just hilarious.
Right? It's crazy that if one, it's even a topic to begin with, and then now they're like priorities, like family obligations.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
priorities.
Faiz actually, one of our previous guests, Faiz actually sent me, sent us a meme regarding this. And
Wow.
I think that meme would be like amazing to share right now. Let me pull it up. So yeah, the specific quote that Faiz and I were discussing was this.
And you zoom it in. The first university in the world was started by a Muslim woman in Morocco. Fatima Al Firi established it in 859, oldest university in the world. Damn. And then
So whether it's true or false,
whether it's true or false, it goes to show like not even your Islamic women are following what you're
yeah.
saying, Daniel.
So how many clogs do you think? Yeah, how many heart attacks do you think Daniel will get when he sees that meme or that
I
picture?
don't know. I don't know if he's gonna ever see that. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
yeah,
it's false.
false.
So
Yeah,
in the
apparently.
discussion Jen, Fives, and Moose and I all had, it was declared that. So actually, Nandala University, and I think it's like modern day Bihar, or it's close to like the Nepal region.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It like India Nepal border area where there's a few universities that exceed or that were started before that.
Mm. So it's not the oldest. And
Yeah.
also, by the way, we're gonna stop mansplaining here, and we're gonna actually pass it on to Riss over here. So, Riss, once again, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and thank you very much for inviting me here.
Absolutely. The you are I believe an ex-Muslim, a female from um, what do you call it, Muslim country. So please tell us, what is your Islamic background?
Well, uh, I was a Muslim, and I don't know what is it called, but we were like Hanafi Muslim.
Hanafi
Uh,
Sunni sect, correct?
yes,
Yes.
yes. I wasn't very religious, but I actually believed in a God. Like I believed in Allah, and I tried to be religious. And I left Islam probably last year,
Hmm.
and it was probably June or July. I cannot clearly remember because it's not like I left my religion, like I officially converted to atheism. It's not like that. I just suddenly realized that I don't believe in this thing anymore.
So you feel it was a slow realization, and it
Yes,
was a slower process.
yes.
And what made you start uh, changing or doubting your beliefs or perspectives? Like, what made you change, or what were the series of things you can describe?
Well, there's a few reasons to it. First thing was like I was going through a lot at that time. So I thought maybe, practicing my religion more maybe would make me feel better. So I started praying, and I almost became like a very good Muslim. Like I never actually, what can I say? My English isn't so good. But
That's
anyway,
okay.
I was trying to, veil myself. I was trying to go into parda.
Yes.
But I did that, and I was always guilty about that thing. So I wanted to learn my religion more so I can, you know, be a more good Muslim. Uh, so at that time, I had an atheist friend who was like disconnected from me for years because of religion, of course. So I somehow got connected to her, and she told me some things which I didn't believe, like the position of women, especially in Islam. I didn't believe at all, and I was so, I had faith. So I wanted to check those things myself, and I wanted to learn more. And so I started reading the Quran at first. Everything was good. Like the second surah in Quran, Surah Al Baqarah,
Yeah.
I was shocked when I read it with meaning. So the ayat that actually hit me hard was the ayat that says that women are your fields.
Oh wow.
This doesn't seem like a proper language used by a god.
Right.
Like, why
Yes.
does God say us a field? And I read this tafsir, like why it was revealed, and I was even more shocked. Like, why would God reveal a ayat on this, really unnecessary topic? It wasn't so important. And then comes Surah Al Nisa, where beating, women.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, striking your wife
Yes.
if they're disobedient. So that was, I was totally shocked. And then I read the whole Quran gradually, and then I actually read it with tafsir, and I also started reading the hadith as much
Yeah.
as I could. And then I stopped reading hadith because at that time, after like a few months, I just stopped believing. I just suddenly realized that I don't believe in this thing anymore. And I was sad because of it. Like, it was hard on me. Like, I always thought of it. For example, when I'm studying, I just cannot stop thinking about these Islamic things. Like, the thing you believed for your entire life now seems like it's a lie.
Yeah.
It was hard on me. I couldn't just get away from it. But then, oh, I also watched videos of apostate prophet,
Yes. Yes.
and I also looked for explanations. Like a lot of scholars who were in YouTube explaining this surahs and stuff. So I tried to understand. Like, I tried to, you know, hear them, but those didn't make sense. And there's like a very famous book in my country where I'm from. So that book is like, it says that it has all answers an atheist can ask. So I bought that book, and I went through it, and it was so ridiculous. I didn't just finish it because it's so funny, and it didn't make sense.
What book was this?
um well, the book's name is Paradoxical Sajid,
Okay.
and it's a very famous book in from the country I am in. So
Okay. So and yeah, you found that the book was very ridiculous.
yeah.
And then what happened?
And there's a lot of lies in that. It tries to explain things in a scientific way, but it failed.
So it's kind of like the scientific miracles of the Quran, or like, something like that.
Yes, and it also like justifies things, like why beating women is okay, and how it dignifies women and stuff. It's just ridiculous.
Wow. Okay. And are you comfortable with answering? What country did you come from? Are you comfortable with answering that?
I'm from Bangladesh.
Okay. And given that the you are were in or in that environment, did you were you open about it? Did you keep it a secret that you were a non-believer?
Well, I had to keep it a secret because um it's a Muslim country,
Yeah.
so obviously it's not safe there to be like clear about my belief.
And have you, um, if you have, what do you call it? Have you faced any backlash, or do you feel different from ever since you deconverted from Islam?
Well, my parents know about this and they are very very disappointed, and they just keep asking me every day that come back to your religion, come back to your religion, pray and stuff. So it's I don't know, well, I just feel like they just don't accept me as I am. And well, they're very religious. I don't usually talk about religion with them, but I just told them once that I don't believe in this thing, and they were super worried and disappointed, and they were even trying to get me to a therapist so I can convert to Islam once again. But those things didn't work though.
So is it like an exorcism that they try to do, or
Pardon?
so an exorcism? Because I know,
Yes.
yeah.
It was it an Islamic therapist, or was it like an actual psychiatrist? Or
They tried in in both ways.
wow,
Like,
tried both ways.
yeah, they even called in like a female scholar and told me to talk with her about these things, what I'm having my doubts on. I was like, I don't have any doubt. I just left this thing. I stopped believing. But, and the thing that mostly hurts me is like my parents are so sure that someone brainwashed me into this.
Wow.
And they tried, like, they tried so much to bring out that person who brainwashed me. I was like, nobody brainwashed me. How are you supposed to find someone?
Yeah, it's one of those, they cannot accept the fact that someone can think for themselves and leave the religion. It has to be an evil devil or something.
Yeah.
And it do are you like, is in given the situation in Bangladesh, like what is it like for atheists or agnostics or non-religious people in Bangladesh in general, that is?
Well, let me tell you something.
Hmm.
It was probably 2015, like around that time. A group of blogger was killed because they were writing against Islam.
Wow.
So it just goes on in our country. Like if you come out with your religion, I mean your religious belief that you don't believe with this thing, they're gonna kill you somehow. And even there's a sad story I remember. Someone named Ragib. He was an activist about this atheism thing,
Yes.
and he used to write against Islam. So they killed him brutally, and they also announced that if any mullah or imam, they perform their janaza, they're gonna kill him too.
Wow.
So it's risky in Bangladesh,
Wow,
and
it's
it's not
extreme.
safe.
Wow, it's almost as kind of as bad as Pakistan. Very similar
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
Pakistani situation. Yeah. Nick, do you happen to have any questions for Riz over here?
Do you think it's any do you think there's any more difficulty with it being with you being as a woman to leave Islam, or do you think it's pretty general in a sense the level of threat that there is?
Um, well, it's definitely tough if you are a woman in Bangladesh. Like, if you live your religion as a woman. But if you like the first thing, let me tell you something. The first thing my mom said when I stopped believing, she was like, "But you're a girl. How are you supposed to live your religion? I would have accepted if you were a boy." So I'm like, so there are a lot of like men who are not religious, and people don't say a thing about them. But if you are a woman and you are not practicing your religion, you will get judged every time. I
Wow.
was being judged. For example, let me tell you a story. Once I was like coming back from a shopping mall, and a janitor there, uh, she asked me. Well, I was with my friend who was who was wearing a burqa, and I was just wearing normal dress. And that woman, she actually not asked me. She kind of complained me that how the hell, like, why are you wearing this thing? Look at your friend. She's wearing a burqa. You should be like her. And I was so ashamed of it, and I felt terrible. But what mostly hurt me was my friend's attitude towards me. She was looking at me in such a way that this is what you deserve for not wearing a burqa.
Wow.
So I still can remember it until now. It kind of hurts me.
Wow. So they're not even like willing to actually say, hey, it's their choice. No, I thought burqa was a choice, and instead it's like they're judging you for not wearing it.
Yeah.
My goodness. Oh man. And Nick, uh, do you have any counter questions or any thoughts on that, or any questions?
So, how empowering is the hijab, like many people say?
Empowering? I don't think it is. How does it make any difference if you like wear a hijab or not? I mean, what
Well,
it has to
Daniel
do with.
Hakikachu,
Uh-huh.
Daniel Hakikachu, Muhammad Hijab, and so many other popular Muslims say that it's empowering. What do you say to all of them that say it's an empowering piece of clothing?
It's just their thought. Like, there's a lot of Muslim women who actually brag about wearing hijab and working. I don't know why. It has nothing to do with empowerment or anything. How does it make sense? Like, you are wearing a hijab and working as a woman. How does that make you great?
Just straight up. I love her response. Just straight up, it's like, how does it make you? Just straight up, no. Just no. Oh, and this is my favorite response. I think there is this what do you call it? Um, like it, there is this big clash, like if it's a choice or not. But um, what are your do you feel like it's with hijab, that is, do you feel like many are forced into it, or do you feel there are, okay, some women who do wear it out of conviction? What are your thoughts on that in general?
It's definitely not a choice, and a lot of women are forced to wear it. I remember my friend who was really outgoing, but her father forced her to wear a hijab all the time. And what she used to do is when she came to school, she took it off and then she put it again when she went to home. So this is obviously coercion.
Wow, just this is amazing. um, I have some what do you call it? Actually, Nick, do you have any other questions? Any interesting questions you want to ask?
Yeah, one more question from me is we saw those comments and such, right? Let's end the debate here. As a woman, do you think you should be educated, or is Daniel Kikachu right?
He's just being hilarious here. I mean, we all should like study and stuff. This is nothing about being a woman or being a man. You have to study. But if you don't want to and if you just want to work, it's up to you as well. But I mean, I don't know why is this thing an issue. Like,
Because because liberalism is destroying the
It,
religion.
yeah, individualism is destroying Islam, according to Daniel. So,
well, that's kind of true. Like, women, if you, uh, what can I say? Women who are studying are most likely to understand things that Islam is forcing them, and Islam is like depriving them of things they deserve. So yeah, it's obviously harmful for them. Like, these Islamic scholars. Otherwise, how are they supposed to, like, what can I say, fool you, right?
yeah. Do you ever get surprised that there are women who are still Muslim, that is, or still more devoted as Muslims?
Yes, yes. I really get surprised because I mean, how can you not understand? Like, there's a lot of people, even I have a gay friend who knows that being gay is severely, it's a severe sin in Islam, but
Hmm.
she is still okay with this. She's like, yeah, but not believing in Allah is the most sinful thing you can do. The same thing goes for like some women who agree with this thing that Islam is being cruel on some point, and sometimes it just forces women. And I, well, in my belief, Islam is harmful for women. It is like really, really
Yeah.
harmful.
Yeah.
And what shocks me is like a lot of women do know that and they're okay with it. Like, how are you okay with this thing?
Yeah. Do you feel it could just be like childhood brainwashing, or like, it's just do you feel it's just the childhood brainwashing that it couldn't go that far, or the nostalgia of it? Um,
I think there's two things here. The first one is, yes, childhood brainwashing, and the second one is like some people are just too dumb to understand.
yeah.
There's a cousin of mine.
Hmm.
She supports beating women.
What?
Yes, she does. I was, when she was discussing this, just sitting in front of me with my other cousins in my home, I was totally like shocked. She was like, she told her husband to beat her sometimes because she believes that when the husband beats a woman, the place where he hurts her, that place goes to Jannah.
Oh, come on.
I don't know where she got it from. Probably some scholar she heard from, probably. But that's why she wants her husband to beat her. Can you believe it?
This is just so basically, let's if I he she gets, for example, smacked in the face, that part of the face goes to Jannah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of very shocked to I'm absorbing this. Wow, this is something I've never heard before.
Me neither. I also, like, that's the first time I heard it, and it was from my own cousin.
Wow, that's bizarre, like extremely bizarre. Whew. And there are wow, I sorry, I'm just speechless. I'm just speechless. Oh my goodness. This is And what's surprising is that there are hadiths about this, that like I think I shared the file with you as well. Like, oh yeah, which hadith is she talking about? Basically, Piyush, this is someone share. She heard her cousin say it, and her cousin probably heard it from a scholar. So it's so weird. That's some next level indoctrination. Let me just share. Riz and I will just, and Nick will just react to, like, I already did this technically. Like, I already compiled a few things. Riz and I were sort of compiling different examples from Islamic text. Can you see this?
I saw it and then it disappeared.
What? Oh wow! Why did it disappear? One second. Let me just.
It's a scientific miracle.
Wow, scientific miracle. Okay, Nick. Okay, Mr. Zakir Naik. Whoa there. Let's
Mention
see.
his name again and I'll play the video.
No, no, please don't. Please don't play his video. Oh, I put stopped sharing. Whoops, whoops. No, 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 no. Don't share, don't share, don't share, don't share. Bad, 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 bad. Done. Done. Okay, so it's supposed to be slideshow. There we go. Yeah, it's just basically. So, can you guys see this?
Yes.
I
Perfect.
can see it.
So I think Riss already mentioned the 434 justifies domestic violence, strike your wife if disobedient. And then there's even a hadith. Have you heard of this hadith? The witness of a woman is equal to half of a man because of deficiency in a woman's mind. Have you heard this one?
Yes, I did. I did.
Wow. Did you hear it in a mosque or did you read about it?
I read about it, but first, um, when I actually read a verse in Quran which says that about that, what can I say? Well, I forgot the
The
English about
witness,
that
the
word.
witness thing,
Yes,
right?
yes, 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 yes. Witness thing. Yes,
Yes, and
yes,
it
that's thing.
is it in it's in Sahih al-Bukhari. No, I mean not Sahih al-Bukhari. It's chapter 2, right? Surah Baqarah.
Yeah, it's in Surah Al-Baqarah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the
So
very.
that's when I came to this hadith.
Oh, wow. And there it also there was another hadith I found. The deficiency in a woman's religion is due to her not being able to pray or fast during menstruation. Have you heard of this one?
Yes.
In Bangladesh or the Muslim Hanafi school of thought, or
Mhm.
is like menstruation seen as something like evil, or what do they say to that?
It's seen as something nasty, like just the normal Islamic thing that you cannot pray and you cannot go near any holy things when you're in your period. So
Wow, this is God creates you, has makes you have a period, then it's like, oh, you can't touch this. It's like, what? Makes no sense.
yes.
Makes no sense. Why would he even make you go through that? It's bizarre. um Yeah, I have you read this one? If a husband calls his wife to his bed to have sex and she refuses and causes him sleep in anger, the angels will curse him till the morning.
Yes, I did this. I
So
did read
basic,
this thing.
so basically, to summarize, if the wife does not consent, the angels will piss in her ear.
Yeah, it says that you have to like go to your husband even if he asks you like um on a camel ride. So this is how
Yeah,
important it is.
yeah. There's even the hadith in Sunnah ibn Majah. It says here, I would have commanded women to prostrate to their husbands. No woman can fulfill her duty to Allah until she fulfills her duty to. If he asks for intimacy, even if she is on a camel's saddle, she should not refuse.
Yeah.
Like, it's so bizarre. I would have commanded, like, have you heard of the prostration one?
No. No, this
Yeah,
one's new.
this one's new, right? And this is I also found another. Ashras bin Qais, he saw Omar beating his wife and then he separated them. Then Omar reminded him of the story that Muhammad allowed him to do this. And it's so weird. Like, Ashras is normally presented in, even in Shia text, from the Jafri text, he's presented as Mawiya's friend. He's the enemy. He was enemy with Ali, and he's actually preventing a woman getting beaten. Like, he's supposed to be one of the evil characters, Ashras bin Qais, and it's so like messed up that he's actually like Um, have you heard of this one? Majority of the dwellers of hellfire are women.
Yes.
Wow.
The first thing here is I don't know how did Muhammad saw actually. How did he see women burning in hell? Like you were supposed to see hell after death, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. And then he says that the majority is women because they were disobedient to their husband.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, yes. And he did even wasn't it the Mirage? Like, he rode on the flying donkey or mule and
Yes.
then rode up. That's when he saw the women in hell, apparently.
Ah,
You're going to
yes.
hell now, Mustafa. It's the Burak.
The Burak. Yeah, and my friend sent me this. The term, it's the jilbab. The hijab is 2431. Like, it's basically to prevent them. So, yeah, she told me this. Oh, Sistani said there's no difference. This is from Ayatollah Sistani. He's also a famous Shia scholar as well. There's no difference between a Muslim woman who refuses to wear the hijab and the disbelieving woman. Like, this is a scholar saying this. What do you think of that?
Well, there's a story in Bangladesh
Yeah.
we heard. So a wife who actually promised that she will uh go around naked if if she conceives. So suddenly she conceives, and then she was like terrified. Now she has to go around naked. So she went to a scholar and she said him what to do. So the scholar said you can just go around the locality, just with your hair open. That's like being similar to being naked.
What?
So
How is hair being equal? It's, what? This hair doesn't do anything.
I don't know. I don't know what has hair to do with this thing.
Yeah. It's so weird. Like, and I heard this thing that one strand of hair means like this is of a Malaysian friend of mine told me this. She said that one strand of hair equals what do you call it, 70,000 or 7,000 years in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have heard it.
A variation of this, eh?
Yes.
Yeah. There's even this one, Sunnah ibn Majah, and this is Hadith Sahih. It says no woman should arrange the marriage of another woman, and no women should arrange their own marriage. The adulteress is the one who arranges her own marriage.
Never heard this one before.
Really? You've never heard. So, all the Bangladeshi aunties who arrange marriage should be disappointed by this, no?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they should. They're the ones arranging all these marriages. Um, And then there's another one. Aisha narrated this one. This is also Sahih. Any woman whose marriage is not arranged by her guardian, her marriage is invalid. Her marriage is invalid, and why does it appear repeated three times? Her marriage is invalid. Oh, okay. I think it's if she has had intercourse, if the man has, and the meher belongs to her in return of his intimacy. If there's any dispute, then the ruler guardian who does not have a. Oh, this is weird. This is just such a weird hadith. Yeah. What? Yes. Explain. Have you read about the concept of meher?
Yes. So I used to glorify this thing
Yeah.
when I was Muslim. But then I actually, after like knowing this thing properly, the way it says in Surah Al-Baqarah, I actually realized that this is actually the price for, the intercourse. That's all. I was
Really?
shocked.
So meher is basically just the money to be given for sex or
Yeah.
intercourse. Wow. So if a husband and wife don't have sex, for example,
Mm-hmm.
the husband does not owe her any meher.
No. Like if you divorce your wife without sex, then you get the whole money back.
So who gives them? Who has the money first? Like it's the husband's money, right? The meher.
Yes. And then
Okay.
he gives it to the woman for the marriage. And then if they get divorced without sex, then he gets the money back. And if he has sex just once, then he keeps half of the money. And if he has like more than once, then you have to give the whole money to the woman. So
So okay, one time. So and there's no way to prove this, is there?
no.
My goodness. And how are we gonna get four witnesses for this? Perfect. Oh my god, this is so messed up.
Like I used to also think, oh, meher might be something nice. Like you told me this. It's like what? What the heck? It's basically intercourse money.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Just have you heard of the female captives one? The female captives in the Quran.
Sex slaves?
Yes, yes.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, so there's this long surah that you can unlawful are your mothers. So they're all unlawful.
Mm-hmm.
Also, forbidden are married women unless they're captives of war. Such is the decree. So even if the captured women are married, you can actually have sex with them.
Yes.
And in Sahih Muslim, it is impermissible to have intercourse with a female captive after it is established she's not pregnant, and if she has a husband, then her marriage is annulled when she's captive. And I used to think this, like, where are their husbands? And turns out their husbands were among the captured.
Yeah.
Like their husbands are captured as well. So their husband is right there, and they can still be, you know, assaulted and raped like that.
Hmm.
That was so messed up. Like when I read about this, it's just like women are practically property.
Yes, they are. This is a common question.
Yeah.
People ask to the scholars why sex slaves are allowed. So there's a very famous scholar in Bangladesh
Mhm.
whose name is Azhari.
Yeah.
So I saw this thing when I was, you know, I was like knowing Islam more. So I searched this thing on YouTube, like why is this uh allowed? Like I wanted to see what the scholars say about this thing. So Azhari was saying that after Imam Mahdi comes, there's gonna be a huge war, and then after the war, a lot of women from Yehudi Nasara groups will be like, you know, there just free. So what are you gonna do with them? He was just telling like this. So what are you gonna do with them? We're gonna make them our slaves. That's why sex slave is allowed in Islam.
What the? What kind of weird justification is that?
I don't
But
know.
you got to remember, it's not slavery. It's different than the African slave
Wait, your
uh,
voice is cutting off.
North
Nick, your voice is cutting off.
Atlantic slave trade.
Wait, Nick. Your voice was cutting off.
From what previous
Oh, all wait. Yeah,
is this better?
yeah. Now it's better. Yeah, say the entire thing again.
You
It's a bit
almost
of
can you
a
hear
there
me?
is a bit of a cutoff. Yes. Uh, say something. Hello. Oh, Nim Grace is asking. Riz. Nim Grace is
Yeah.
asking, what is Riz's background? When did she become an ex-Muslim? I mean, how long has she been an ex-Muslim? So
It's almost been a year.
yeah, and I think Nim Grace. We also answered that she was from Bangladesh and from the Hanafi Sunni sect. So if you joined like earlier in the show, like she explained her story. Um, so I think we were like Nick. Where are you? I think his mic is not working.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yeah, you said something in the middle about like the African slaves.
Atlantic trade slave trade is different than what they
Yes.
consider as slavery.
So the transatlantic slave trade is different. Oh yeah, so they're like, oh, that's not just same as. Oh my goodness, I always get that argument. Have you heard that argument that it's not the same
I'm like,
as?
I was like, then why not just call them fucking? They're servants, not slaves. Why are you calling them slaves? Call them servants.
But remember, servants have to, have to be paid and they have a choice. Um, you
Yeah.
know,
Like when I go
yeah,
to India, I hired servants, right? I paid them $300 a month. They came to my house, they mopped up, they cleaned the dishes, and they left. If they needed a
yeah,
day off, I was an employer, I gave them a day off. Like that they're for hire. You pay them a monthly wage, and then they have the freedom. I don't beat them. I
yeah,
don't like. I still follow all the labor laws that they would, and they're contractors. But do I call them my slaves? No, they're not my
yeah.
captives.
And Riz, she
Yes.
explained and when you said about the Mahdi story that I heard, what's the
Mhm.
scholar's name again? Al
Azhari, Miss Hanur Rahman Azhari.
Man Azhari in Bangladesh, right?
Yes.
Bangladesh. I'm just gonna type it in the chat just to so I can so people can look him up. Azhari from Bangladesh. Um, and he told us about the Mahdi story where like does he think that we do they not want it reminds me of the Banu Qurayza story. You've read the Banu Qurayza story?
I think I had, yeah.
The one where they kill all the Jewish men, and then they keep all the women as slaves.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty brutal. Like a lot of people would not be able to stomach this. Um, did you like I read about like pedophilia, and it kind of overlaps with the women issues as well, because a
Yeah.
lot of it covers little girls.
Well, Muhammad married Aisha, so yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I used to think that Aisha was like the only problematic thing. No, the problem is actually deeper in Islamic ideology.
Hmm.
Have you heard of the Quran 65:4? Basically, it says that those who have not yet menstruated, um,
Yes.
you can divorce.
Yes.
Yeah, I've came across Tafsir al-Jalala, and he says that those who have not yet menstruated due to young age, their waiting period is 3 months.
Yeah.
And Tanvir al-Maqbas says the same thing. And then, yeah, of course, we have Prophet married Aisha when she was 9, like 6, but then consummated when she was 9 years old. What excuses have you heard for this?
Uh First thing is like I never knew this thing. I always thought Aisha was, I remember I read in a book
Yeah,
that Aisha was the only virgin wife of Muhammad. I
really?
remember in a book. Yeah. I don't remember the book's name right now, but it was like a few years ago.
Okay.
So I never believed this thing. First thing is that. But then when I actually saw that this is true, it just I just couldn't, tolerate this thing. Uh I mean, the Quran is justifying
Uh,
marrying children.
that too, little girls specifically. That's
Yeah.
what's messed up. Like it's not little boys, it's little girls, and they kind of like the baby girl is just even ready to be married the moment
Yeah.
she's a baby. I used to think it was from okay, they have their period and stuff, like, or their second stage of puberty. No, I was lied to. It's just from the cradle.
Yeah.
And I also came across this. Have you? This is from Ayatollah Ali Sistani. He says if a person marries a non-baligh girl, you know the term non-baligh.
No.
Non-baligh means who has not yet hit puberty.
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Yeah, and it is unlawful for him to have sex until she has completed 9 lunar years. So she has to be 9 years old, lunar, not
Oh,
even solar. However, if he does before, it will not be unlawful for him to have sexual intercourse with her after she reaches bulugh, even if she has developed cloacal abnormality. So even if she develops abnormality, he must pay blood money, which is equivalent to the blood money of killing a human being, and he must also pay for living expenses for even after divorce. In fact, the obligatory even if the girl marries someone, he must still pay her living. It's basically because he caused cloacal abnormality, he has to pay her blood money. But then I read in Fateh al Bari, Muslim schools of jurisprudence allow the marriage of young girls even if they're babies in the cradle.
This
And
is
sorry, what?
this is so sick.
Yeah, and I read in Tahrir al-Wasila, this is Khomeini, the guy who founded the revolution of Iran, and he says it is forbidden to have sex with the wife under 9 lunar years, whether the marriage is temporary or permanent, but all other pleasures, including groping with lust, hand jobs, and tyings, are permissible, even to a baby.
What just what did I
Have you
just
heard of
hear?
this? Have you heard of this?
No, 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 no. This is the first
Wow.
time.
I even showed this to another atheist female friend of mine. She was shocked to hear Khomeini's words. She was shocked to hear this as well. She's like, I know about Aisha, but I didn't know about this. I'm like, yeah, the Aisha was just scratching the surface practically.
Yeah.
So the problem is deeper because in in the five schools of Islamic thought, the Hanafis state the minimum age of maturity for a girl is 9 years, but 12 years for a boy in the Hanafi school of thought. Um, I think Ibn Aqidi, with regard to females, the father may give his minor virgin daughter who has not yet reached the age of 9 in marriage, and there is no difference in opinion concerning that if he gives her in marriage to someone who is compatible. Ibn al Mundir said all of those who required anonymously agreed it is permissible for a father to give his minor daughter in marriage if he arranges her to someone who's compatible. So he can, and it is permissible for him to do that even if she is reluctant. So he can force marry her to someone of his choice.
Wow. I mean, not shocked because what else can I expect from Islam?
And there was a commentary from Sahih Shar al Muslim, which was Sahih al Muslim. I found this from the Master Arab. He said, all Sunni schools of thought agree, as for the time a young girl is married, goes to her husband for sex, it is permissible for any time. There is no harm to the girl or husband, and the guardian of the father approves. So the husband and father or guardian decide. So, and then there was Rad al Muhtar, which is intercourse is not limited to any age. Withstanding penetration means being able to withstand it from a penis or another object in breaking the hymen. This cannot be determined by a minimum age. For example, fat girls can withstand intercourse even if they're very young. Have you heard of this?
Really? No, this is disgusting.
All right, it's so bizarre. Like just assuming she's a like a little overweight doesn't mean she can withstand intercourse. Like, what kind of BS is this? Like, and the kind of excuses. Yeah. So this is what is your overall thoughts on this? The what do you call it? Especially pedophilia towards little girls. That is.
This is just disgusting. I always thought, like a lot of people in Bangladesh, they marry young girls, like just babies.
Yeah.
So I always thought, how do they justify this thing? And now I know, like, why do they justify marrying little girls who are not even menstruating?
Yeah, and they have you know they have justification for it not only in the Quran. Like, I think you and I saw it's in hadith as well as scholarly works. It's
Yes.
everywhere. So it's bizarre. Nick, what do you think of this? I'm guessing he might have some issues on his end. Yeah, it could be just internet issues. All right, no worries. Um, but yeah, like this religion, yeah, it was created by a bunch of pedo apologists. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Um, Nick even showed me. I think he has the video. of Muhammad hijab, he told another Muslim that just looking at the Quran, it's okay to marry even a 5 year old. And we interviewed an imam, and he actually denied it completely. It's so messed up. Like it's such
Yeah.
a messed up situation. And um, are there, like, specifically to women, that is, like, did you find any other weird rulings? Because I know we have like the pedophilia, we have the hijab, we have the. Were there any things that you find in very weird?
Well, there's a lot of weird things in Bangladesh that goes on with
Yeah.
women. Like if you are a woman in Bangladesh, you have to suffer your whole life because it's a Muslim country. So other than hijab and burqa, um, and pedophilia,
Mhm.
like it's the normal social stuff that goes on with women all over
Yeah.
the world.
And have you heard of the FGM, or female genital mutilation, in Islam?
Yeah, but it's not really like it's not very, you know, the Bangladeshi people don't do that mostly.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Not in Bangladesh, but generally in Islam, do you find, like, that in oh,
It's
sorry.
so cruel. It's
Yeah,
so brutal.
yeah, yeah. And there's Nimgray said Hanafi and Zaharia. Have you heard of Zaharia? What is the difference? Are these madhab only in this Indian subcontinent? Um, do you want to
Uh,
answer this?
well, uh, I don't know what Zaharia is, but Hanafi is like it's a Muslim school.
Yeah, and it's mostly common in the Indian subcontinent, but also in Turkey as well. um, Hanafi Sunni school of thought, whereas
Yeah.
Hanbali is more Saudi Arabia, Maliki is North Africa, Shafi was most common in East Asia or Southeast Asia,
Mhm.
and Zaharia is the fifth one, but like it's the it's got not a lot of followers compared to like the other four. Oh, Azhari. Okay, Azhari is just Azhari was the name of the scholar that Riss was talking about. So yeah, yeah, no, that's okay, Nick, Nim, that's okay. Riss, do you have any other questions for us, or myself, or Nick, or does the audience have any questions for Riss?
Well, I don't have any question,
Okay.
but I share something. So me and my atheist friend, she was staying over in our home.
Yeah.
So there's a book. I actually never like thought of reading it. So it's the book is uh the title says lesson for namaz. So I thought maybe there's just things teaches you about praying properly,
Yeah.
but we somehow just got through it, and you won't believe what I saw. So there was a chapter about husband and wife, and so we went through that in case we find something spicy in there. So and we didn't fail. There was a chapter like why the place of husbands are greater. Okay, so in that chapter, I found a thing that's disgusting. It says that men are superior to women because um, they can produce as much baby as they want, and while we women can just give birth to one child in 9 months. So that makes men superior to
Huh?
women.
Huh?
So I just cannot forget this thing. It's so funny and sick, of
It's so
course.
stupid because you're just impregnating them, but you can't. That's also going to take the 9 months. Like, what kind of stupid nonsense is this?
I don't know. And it's in a book. Can you believe it? And it was in our home for like years.
Wow, wow. Just, and it's written in our books, and it's just wow. Just
I can't believe this. It's so weird. And it's not like I used to think that this is just a Wahhabi school of thought. Like a lot of people say, oh, it's only Wahhabi school of thought or Deobandi or Barelvi. No, it's in all of the main schools of thought. Like all of them are
Yeah,
sexist, all of them. And it's so wow, just like all of them have pedophilia towards little girls, all of them have like justify slavery, and I just couldn't and they all justify Muhammad's like sexist comments as well, and the
yeah,
hadith. So it's so like why why is this like have you heard of the statement that there's the heaven is under the foot of a mother? Have you heard of this one?
yes, yes, I heard this one.
Is it authentic though?
Yes, it is authentic. It's probably in An-Nasai or something like that
Yeah, yeah.
hadith.
But it's not in Bukhari, is it?
No, no, it's not in Bukhari. It's in Sunan An-Nasai.
And like, do people use that as a justification or like, oh, it's elevating women?
Oh, it's yes. It's what can I say? It's very much used in Bangladesh to like show people how respected women is in Islam.
Yeah, it's so
I
bizarre.
have a friend who
Yeah.
married a Islamic scholar, and she was very open minded before marrying him. She even used to ride bikes, but then after marrying him, she just became, a normal Muslim woman with burqa and stuff, and stopped studying, and she just became a housewife. So she told me once, okay, so what was I talking about?
Oh, about the, I think, but she married the Muslim scholar, and I think, what did she
Yeah, like
tell you?
before that. Oh, the feet of the mother.
Oh, the feet of the
Yeah,
mother, yes.
yeah. So once we were discussing, and she was telling me that the modern world says equality, but girl, did you see how respected women are in Islam? Women are more respected than men. But people, modern people, they're so stupid. They want equality. How stupid is this thing?
So ironically, she's the one who stopped riding bikes. She's the one who stopped
Yeah.
like going out. She's the one who became a
Yeah.
housewife, and then she says this to you.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. This is so like, messed up. Um, it's so bizarre. Like, if it goes to show, they always also use the Khatija example. Yet, have you've heard of the Khatija example? Like, oh, she was also older as well.
Yeah.
Um, but
And they're
do
very
they?
successful. But
But
it has nothing to do with Islam, right?
yeah, she was already successful even
Yeah.
without it.
Yeah, I'd say Muhammad actually could establish Islam because of her. She has a great role in this.
And it was her money. It was practically he
Yeah.
was relying on a woman's money. So it's so there's also like have you heard of like there's this discrepancy that she went to propose to him, right? Like, is that the story behind it?
No, I haven't heard this one.
Yeah, I kind of found it. It's actually like it's the other way around. Like I kind of found nothing on that, but apparently she was widowed twice, and but like she kind of sounds like a sugar mama in a way, doesn't she?
Yeah, actually. It does sound like that.
She does sound like a sugar mama, and it's very bizarre. Like he then creates all these rules for women, like and women can't be a leader. He also says that if a woman is a leader, then the nation is destroyed and all that. Like it won't progress. But then the darling of the Muslim world is a female prime minister of New Zealand.
Well, I didn't think Muhammad did all this when Khadija was alive.
Probably, yeah, that could have been the
Yeah.
case.
Yeah,
Um,
he didn't marry anyone like until Khadija died. So I
Yeah.
guess he was kind of, you know, like Khadija was his sugar mama.
And uh, have you heard the story of Zainab bint Jahash when she was Muhammad's cousin, basically married to his son and his son,
Oh, yes,
adopted
yes,
son? Yeah.
yes.
Why?
This is
Why?
a really disgusting one.
Yeah. Why did he need a Quran verse to justify it?
I guess people were talking about this thing. This is so bizarre, right?
Yeah. Because I think people started rumors like, oh, he actually married, like, it became scandalous. And then he
Yeah.
started, he needed to justify it. So
So
this,
Allah comes here to save him.
yeah, this practically reveals, like, he just he just wanted to, like, uh what cover up, basically, because it just
Yeah.
revealed to me. Was there any instance that you found that you started doubting that Muhammad was even a real prophet? Like, this is something I wanted to ask.
Mm, well, the first thing that came to me is like Muhammad made all this up, of
Mhm.
course, just after reading the Quran, because it's so obvious that the things in Quran, it's a person with probably some mental disorders like telling things. So that's the time I got sure of it. And the thing I need to mention is I never doubted on Islam because I never knew Islam for real. I
Yeah.
never knew how stupid it is. Like, I never knew this Islam, the true Islam. What me and most of the Bangladeshis know is the good Islam that we made up ourselves.
So you hear like a very sugar coated version of the story.
Yes. And we mostly don't believe. Like, when I was a Muslim, like 3 or 4 years ago, my best friend, she told me that wife beating is halal. I was like, no way, this is not true. This cannot be true. You're just you misheard something. So this is how confident I was without even knowing. So this is
Wow.
like most of the people of Bangladesh are like this. They don't know the Islam.
And if they do you feel that if people bring this up, then
Hmm.
they would call you blasphemous, like we're committing
Yes,
blasphemy,
yes,
when it's you present it to them and then they even start denying it to the to the face of it, like
yes,
just facing it. So it's I think it's because they've been brainwashed, in the sense that it's presented, like the nice view of it is always presented.
yeah,
Yeah, that's also part of the problem. And I've also heard about the inheritance ones, yes. Have you heard of the justification what inheritance, how why daughters get lower?
yeah. Because daughters don't have to earn for the family, so they
Yeah,
don't need the money and stuff.
that one I heard too. And then they're like, oh, they're gonna get share from their husband as well. Like,
Yeah.
isn't
So they.
that that's just it's bizarre how they justify these things. And even the math doesn't add up. I actually looked into it. The math does not add up as well, like, because
Yeah,
it's so, like, and that's why Shia and Sunni scholars have come up with different mechanisms to sort of like add it up to one whole number. Like, can Allah
yeah.
not do math?
I guess Allah was not very good at maths. I mean, he had like the universe to control and stuff.
Yeah, Allah, yeah, it's basically Allah, aka hi, Allah, aka Muhammad the pedophile, could not count. Yeah, even though I'm surprised he was doing all these numbers for like Khadija, like all the business dealings for Khadija. I was very surprised. So, and she trusted him with all this. So yeah, this is getting a little bizarre. Um,
Yeah.
there was how do you call it? I'm thinking there was something in the. Oh, do you feel that
the entire story. Do you feel that the oh, hi, Jen. Jen Wallace is here. Welcome, Jen.
Hi guys, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good. I was just listening to the conversation. I didn't want to interrupt though, so carry on.
No problem. Yeah. So, Riz, Yeah, Riz.
Hi,
This is
Riss. Nice to meet
Hi,
you.
nice to meet you too.
Yeah. So,
Good, good.
Jen. So this is our guest, and Riz,
Yeah,
and an ex-Muslim from Bangladesh, and she was. I wanted to ask her one last question. Do you ever feel, Riz, that this entire story that we're told, like both whether the sugar-coated or the real version, do you feel all of this is just sometimes made up? Do you feel that sometimes?
Like when I was Muslim,
Hmm.
well, there's a lot of stuff that actually bugged me. Like I actually thought about those, but then I like every other Muslim, I you know I started reading Ayatul Kursi and Nauzubillah Mil Zalik, that I am having these evil thoughts and stuff. Because yeah, there's a lot of things like the when I came to know that sex slaves are allowed is in Islam, I was kind of thinking of it. Why? But then I thought, well, Allah knows the best. There must be something good in it, or probably it's not the sex slaves we like create. It's probably something else.
Wow, just and Jen, do you have any thoughts to share or anything like that?
yeah, definitely. So, one of the, there are, I have to say, like some things about Islam that I kind of admire. I admire how they focus on the family structure. While there are some things that, of course, are toxic about it, I do kind of admire certain aspects, right? So the thing that I don't think it's very realistic in this day and age, right, for
Yeah.
women to be uneducated, right? So like I definitely listened to the Daniel thing. And again, while some of his points I'm like, well, that's kind of, yeah, like society should be family based. Like I think a lot of communities have gotten away from that. But at the same time, what he's saying is so crazy. Like, I wish I could find the timestamp. At one point, he said, educating women will be the downfall of Islam. And I'm like, wow, how does that work, right? So, if it's the downfall of like educating women, then it's just strictly because of birth rates. So, you want to keep the women dumb so they keep having babies, even if you can't afford them or not. And it's like in this day and age, it costs a lot of money to raise children. And I don't know, I just don't think it's very realistic for, there to be one working person in the household. How do you get by? And that's why I wanted to ask Riss, like in Bangladesh, you guys aren't in America, I'm over here, where the average middle class family
Hmm.
it's very hard to get by with one working person. So can the mother really sit home and not work? Are people making enough money?
Well, it's a good question. But yeah, it does goes like this. But I don't know, but somehow people do carry on their life with even three children and just one person working.
Wow.
It's probably because of the lifestyle. It's cheap there. It's probably because of that.
Yeah, I'm guessing Bangladesh has a lot of things we import from Bangladesh too. So there is definitely business in Bangladesh, and there is definitely the economy is like I know commodities even in Pakistan are relatively less expensive or cheaper compared to um, more secular or like Western countries. That is.
And also the living standard. Like kids are not raised in the same way they are raised here in America.
Mhm.
It's so different.
What would be the differences? Would you outline?
Well, children are more, you know, they're actually, they get a better life here. Like, they are more taken care of. But in Bangladesh, like, children just eat whatever they can, and go to school at some point. And also, the children who go to school is most probably from middle class families and rich families. But
Yeah.
in case of poor families, children start working at a young age and start contributing in the family economy. So it's so different there. Like,
Yeah.
children aren't really children there. And in case of poor families, most of the children get married soon, because the better, the sooner you get married, the better it is for girls.
So this is something that just like you would rather send a child boy to work versus a grown woman adult. And that to me is like, I can't, I don't know. It's hard to understand the logic. Like, those are babies. Like, you're sending babies out to work. And then you even have things like Afghanistan, where there's things like Bacha Pash, where the little girls have to dress up like little boys so they can go work because the mothers aren't allowed to go to work. So it's, I think this is like, I don't know, keeping the women uneducated is contributing to things like this happening.
Yeah. Also, guys, welcome Stops, an old a timer here. He's also one of the founding members of Gin and Tonic. Welcome, Stops.
Hey,
Hi,
big up
welcome everybody.
stops.
Sorry I'm late.
That's okay. So we have a guest today, Riz. She's a Bangladeshi ex-Muslim. We just had a lovely interview with her. And then we have Jen Wallace as well, who had her thoughts as well. And now Nick is back.
Hey, yeah, my tech issues have been resolved.
Perfect, perfect. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So yeah, do you guys have any other questions for Riz?
Yeah,
Stops, Nick.
there's actually Riz did mention she was of Bangladeshi origin and such, so I actually have a specific thing that I want to share.
Okay.
Yesterday I actually went to this Hindi movie called what do you call the Kashmir Files, and it talks about the Indian Kashmir Pundit. I wouldn't say genocide, but exodus almost. So basically, almost 1,500 people. The number is off because the people who were doing the census or the studies there were actually killed as well. So the official number that we got was 1,341. But I actually interviewed some people that would be more knowledgeable about this, and they said that many of the government officers that came in to interview this in that area were actually Kashmiri pundits as well, and they were also killed. So this number might not be the complete exact amount itself. Close to 400,000 Kashmiri pundits had to leave that state, and it went from almost being like 50 to 60% Kashmiri pundits all the way down to 2% there. And it became there's still like extremist groups trying to make it the Islamic Republic of Kashmir. So yeah, it's I do highly recommend that movie. And Jen Riz stops if you know anything about the topic and want to share specifically.
No, I don't know much about this topic.
Yeah, no, I heard of the Kashmir issue as well, like from Pakistani perspective. Riz, have you heard of the Kashmir issue in Bangladesh, or do they ever touch upon it?
No, it's not much of a topic.
Yeah, and Nim Grace has an interesting take here. Educating women will be the downfall. Yeah, yeah, it's like relatively accurate, I would say.
Yeah. Izzy also has a question.
Is he would Muslim wives be better off remaining uneducated than spending years studying something financially equally financially impractical?
I'd say yeah, like if they're trying to get like For me, at least, the kind of education that you get is for the kind of work that you need to do. Like,
Yeah,
if I want to go be a mechanic or something, I'm not going to do like I'm not going to sit there and do a 4 year degree. I'm going to do a 2 year apprenticeship and go start fixing cars. Why
yeah.
go into student debt and such, right? So the education itself should be correspondent to what career you want, but women should not be denied their career choices just due to lack of education or the lack of access to education in that field. If they want to be engineers as careers, they should be allowed to do computer science or engineering degrees. What's the need of stopping them for that?
Yeah. And even like, it depends on the program. Like most programs are for a specific field. So it's like, whether it's gender study, whether it's law, whether it's what do you call it, a business, that is, they're all like geared towards something. So, and I found that even people who study theater and arts have found decent work, that is, for themselves.
Yeah,
So
like yeah, like it really does depend on what kind of career you want, but you got to
yeah.
also understand the risks and consequences of whatever choice you make, like student
Oh
debt.
yeah.
If I right now, like I'm in a radio and writing course
Yeah.
for my MBA. I didn't take that immediately because I knew that there's a high chance I'll be working in Starbucks for a good long amount of time. So I did an engineering degree, worked in tech for a while, and then started doing this writing and such, right? So it's all about that balance of education, but closing off that access to any form of education because you're making their career choices for them. That's what I call oppression.
But what happens if you're being denied that? What if you're being denied the opportunity to go into a career? Would you then be better off uneducated or educated, knowing that your situation or that you are in dire straits?
I think it really depends on faith, the faith of the person, uh, because like if you're in Canada, there's laws against that. Like if someone's clearly telling you like, don't take that degree or I'll threaten to do this to you, I'm pretty sure that's illegal. But like if you're stuck in a place where it's almost the equivalent of the government itself, due to corruption or whatever, is not letting you actually take it, no matter where it is. That's just a series of unfortunate events. And I know, and it's going to sound really bad of me to say this, but like I have no other way to explain it other than there's charities in that area that the only thing I can do is donate to that charity to see if I can help them. But the sad reality is there's many circumstances, including corruption and other things outside of religion, that also stop people from having career paths in education.
And
Yeah, that's
stop.
true. But is everybody aware that the majority of Muslims are actually uneducated to the degree that they are illiterate? I mean, it's over 50%.
Really? Yes.
Well,
um
and Muslim women are generally, I think, across the globe at the lowest of education. I think
Yep,
second to
exactly.
Hindu women.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, this is if we just don't even consider college, right? Some of these women, if you take places like Afghanistan, aren't even allowed to make it through high school. Like
That's
they're
it.
that they're being married off before they know how to balance a checkbook. Like how do you have to know basic things? Like you have to know basic geography, where you are, what country's border. I mean, I don't know. There's just basic educational things that I think everyone should have a right to live. And if that's threatening to the survival of the religion, then I really think, I don't know, some things need to be rethinked.
Yeah, and I think it's just the view of that they'll have of a person or kind of person there. Like, if you like, they all they see a woman is a baby making factory. What use is there for them to go out and work? Whereas that's not a reality. Like science and medicine, everything's proving this wrong. Where they're intellectually just as capable, and obviously, as a guy, I'm not going to be popping out babies with my free willy here. So I do understand if a couple wants to have children, the guy's not going to be able to make the babies here. But that doesn't stop someone else from having a career path. you can still have children, raise children while still having a career and a degree. And the fact that I think that's just a lack of education and illiteracy in many people around the globe where they can't see that.
And Riz, this is a question for Riz. What is the education like for women in general in Bangladesh, or the Muslim population in Bangladesh in general?
Well, for a normal family, women usually go to college, but
Hmm.
most of them cannot finish it because like 21 to 23 is the perfect age for women to get married there. So they mostly get married around this time, and then they have babies. So although they do enter into colleges, but they usually don't finish the degree.
Interesting, interesting. This is and 22, and for Islamic standards, that's relatively late. Even
Yeah.
23.
Yeah,
So you were
but
just
it's
discussing,
for like
yeah.
good families and like normal families. But in case where the family is a bit poor, for example, one of my cousin, they she got married when she was 14.
Wow.
So apparently her father wasn't financing her, education and stuff. So my aunt, she actually decided to get her married, and so that her husband can, fund her.
Wow.
So it's like and um in case of poor families, normally women get married around their 14 or 15 and have kids within 17. And for middle class families and normal families, they go into college, but they get married within 3.
Wow. So
Just
Yeah,
a
the
few.
education system.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying, like, do the colleges and such have donation seats and various categories, quotas of seats there as well? Because I know in India that's something that they do because colleges will actually ask for donations, but essentially bribes to offer seats to people of different castes. So many
Yeah.
people actually marry off their daughters, use the dowry to pay off that bribe to give them the degree. Is that the same thing in Bangladesh?
No, there's people either go to college or they just don't. And there's nothing like funding from government for education in for the college. So they don't do this thing. And mostly they get their daughter educated because they want, a better groom for their daughter. Like if you have a degree, your husband will be better. So that's why they get educated, not like women empowerment or they want to do something with the degree. It's nothing near that.
Yeah, I also have another question. Would this culture in a urban city like Dhaka be different than a rural city, and such?
Yeah,
Or
it's there's huge difference between Dhaka and normal, rural cities. It's different. People in Dhaka are more, advanced, and Dhaka is like a place where um you know what can I say, the a bit rich people, they go to Dhaka, and the women get educated in Dhaka mostly because the education there is better. And of course, the people who are in Dhaka, at least studying, you have to like understand that they are from a better family. So that's why they're studying in Dhaka.
now in, like, let's say Dhaka, I know it is the capital. It's probably one of the most populous cities
Yeah.
out in the world. What? How would you say the modernization is in a city like that? Does it share a lot of Western values and such? Because I know cities like Delhi or Hyderabad in India actually do share many Western values, and it you in areas in Hyderabad you can't even tell that you're in Hyderabad. You think you're in Toronto. So would you say that Dhaka has westernized and has some liberal values towards women, or is it still very suppressing?
uh not not that much. Like there are some modern thinking, but it's not as good as Delhi or other cities in India. It's not near that, but it's better in Bangladesh, like better in Dhaka than other cities.
Yeah, I only make the comparison to India as well because like that's all I know in terms of that area. And
Mhm.
I also recently visited, but yeah, thanks for the clarification
So
there.
I have visited places like Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Pakistan, and I believe Stops has seen Iran as well. Have you visited? You've visited Iran, Stops?
I went to school there for 5 years.
Okay, this was during, this is the pre-revolution or
Yeah, absolutely.
times?
Yeah. This was
Okay,
still during the Shah.
yeah, I went there post-revolution a few times, like during the Khomeini reigns, like both as a child as well as as an adult, and it's very different. Like you see a lot of like, you know, there's hijab is practically mandatory, and you still have what do you call it, they are protesting, like, they should completely like get rid of it, but there will be men harassing women just for their hijabs, like showing a strand of hair. So it's a very different environment than
Uh,
what I think you
Well,
saw.
the thing is that Iranians have always, even as ancient Persians, have been very much at the forefront of education. Because if I look at Khwarizmi and Al Haytham and all these guys, they were actually Persians. They were not really Muslims. Um, even in those days, they were always at the forefront. And even when I was there, men and women were very much interested in getting educated. And there was no difference in those days between females and males. And this is why I would like to ask Riz, if if women in Bangladesh are aware that they are on the back foot, that they are unable to do what other women are able to do in other countries. Is that something that they know and simply accept, or is it simply that they're not even aware of it?
They are aware of it, and not all of them accept this thing. Like I remember my friends telling me, like when if they go to abroad, sometimes they will wear whatever they like. Can you understand the frustration here?
I, I grew up with this. I remember there were still girls who had to wear the chador going out of the house, and then as soon as they were around the corner, it disappeared in the handbag. But 90% of the girls that I used to go out with, I mean, remember, like when you're 11, 12, this is, when you realize that girls are there for something else than just pulling their hair. You can do other things with them, and at that stage, it was amazing at what girls were allowed to do as compared to what it's like today. So it is a very, very different atmosphere to what, like, even what Mustafa was saying now. I mean, that is so sad. In my days when I was there, I mean, this was totally open, totally pro-Western, totally, anything goes. And if you want to experiment, you experiment. And then people were allowed to do what they wanted. And that was great. And it's only later that people were suppressed. So this is the atmosphere that I know from Iran. But then I went to Pakistan where it was different. And I remember in those days in Lahore was actually quite open if I compare it to today. So the
Yes,
same
yeah.
thing, Kabul. I went to Kabul. Now I went to Kabul, when was it, like 10 years ago? The difference is amazing. It's like going into a different continent almost. So the changes are gigantic if you compare Islam 40 years ago to Islam today.
Or I would say better Muslim countries, right? Like the better description would be, yes, Muslim
Well,
dominant countries.
no,
Yes.
no, but Mustafa, Islam didn't exist in that form in those days. 40 years ago, Islam was more like a religion than what it is today, where it's an ideology. So I see a huge difference in the attitude of people. Like even in Doha. Well, now again, you see, the funny thing is now it's changing again, and this is what Riz is telling me. Sort of substantiates exactly my idea, or my I don't know what you want to hypothesis or whatever you want to call it, that people are slowly waking up and they're slowly getting fed up. The same thing as what happened 20 years ago in Russia, where people said, look, we don't want this anymore. And this is what I see happening in Islam, that it's crumbling because the foundation is wrong, and therefore people, and this is what Riz just confirmed, that people are aware of this, and then they go somewhere else and they wear what they want and they do what they want, and then they come back, and then it feels like going back into prison. This is what I imagine it is like, and this is what is changing at the moment.
Yeah, no, I can completely see that there is. It's kind of like it's a similar, I feel like, revolution that the Christian world went through. Like it was this weird phase of, like, the rising skepticism and rising, like, pushback from the individuals, and then they see this as threatening, or they either the Islamic scholars have to either evolve, or Islam dies. So what I feel like, it will evolve into something more progressive, or it'll push back, like, but that's what I see, is that there will be more less and less people who will be practicing Muslims. There will be more non-practicing. um, there will be a rise in non-practicing Muslims. Riz, what are your thoughts on, like, Islam as ideology? Like, do you feel that there is a shift?
I think there is. Now, most of the people in Bangladesh, as they know the sugar coated Islam, they are like, not all of the women in Bangladesh wear, hijab.
Yes, yes.
So I think they're improving.
No, definitely. Like, I can see that there's a huge shift. Nick, you had something to say?
Oh no, I was just looking at this article here. Unfortunately, they're asking me to pay for it to move any further. So it's probably not best if I show it so they don't ask me for money.
Oh wow! Like, it was
Yeah.
for the was it related
Yeah.
to the
Yeah, it
topic?
was yeah, it was actually really related, like the transformation of the respect of woman pre-Islam and post-Islam.
Yeah, and there were pre-Islamic communities had goddesses. You had, like, the three goddesses: Allah, Al Uzza, and Manat. And then, there was I was watching this documentary on, like, these goddesses. I don't know, it's been a while that these goddesses are very, like, revered, and it was a very very feminine oriented society. But then I hear stories like, oh, there used to be, like, burials of daughters in Mecca. Like, in Mecca, they used to bury daughters alive or something like that. Um, do you guys, or anybody, Riz or anybody, do you feel that that story is true, or that story seems fishy, that the daughters were buried alive?
I'd say it's just, sometimes the political parties, what they do is like they spread rumors about, the other party, that they're doing this and that, so we are better. So I think it's the same thing that Muhammad did, like, and the scholars do, like, how Islam has changed them, like how Islam is so great. So I think these are all made up, because if it was true, like daughters are buried alive, how did they get so many daughters to like marry? Like they used to marry four or five women, right? So
Exactly.
that doesn't make sense.
And what I've also noticed is that in Mecca, around at least Mecca, Saudi Arabia, or even around the vicinity, have we even found any skeletons of dead baby girls or anything like that? Have we even found any evidence of this
Moose,
archaeologically?
how dare you request archaeology in that area? Science is not allowed.
But you see, this is what happens. This is why I love this. As soon as you start thinking rationally and you apply critical thinking just a little bit, this is what happens. It's so wonderful to see.
Yeah, and this argument, like, a little poking in it, just falls apart. Like you said, the fact that, we haven't found any, like, archaeological evidence. There's only one or two Quranic verses about it, but then, like, there's no explanation. It might, like, my hypothesis is that it might have just been an isolated incident, but there was no mass, like, genocide of little girls, because we haven't found any evidence for it.
Right.
So I
The
actually
way.
have a. Oh,
Oh,
go ahead, Jen.
sorry.
Go ahead, Jen.
Um, the way I think about it is like maybe I don't think it happened in mass, but maybe it did happen because there's even stories about like um, people during the Roman Empire like chucking their daughters off cliffs because it wasn't a boy, or um, I believe there's like some Greek mythos about getting rid of baby girls. But what's what better to be the savior of that and the one who gets to stop that is like that's how I look at it. It's like, oh, this horrible thing was happened, but this came to solve it, and this is so great.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
that kind of hype. Yeah.
yeah,
I
and
also
I
have
think we're
another question as well, Moose. I'm not well versed in the history aspect of that area, but I know in neighboring areas near in India, there were many female queens. Was there
yeah.
any Were there any queens in Islam or the Islamic caliphates or kingdoms that
Good,
followed?
good question. Like from at least what I know, at least how I've seen it, I very rare, almost like there's only in the subcontinent there was one Muslim queen, and that's it, and maybe one, and I forget her name. Um, but not in what do you call it? Any Muslim like empire. I haven't seen a female queen or anything like that. Riz, have you ever come across any like women leaders in Islamic history?
No, no.
Yeah, yeah, no, I barely found.
Sheba was not a Muslim,
Oh, Queen Sheba was like this is the one who went to Solomon, right? This one.
right? Yeah, the one with the glass floor.
Yeah, the glass floor. She lifted the skirt, and it. I thought, you know, but isn't it? It's also like you. That's a good question, actually. Like would she be considered the first one? And I think it's funny too. Like, is she considered Muslim or not Muslim? By that definition, because then there's the argument that Adam was the first one. So, but then was Eve the first Muslim, and was Abraham the first Muslim? And yeah, it's a good question. Next off. um, but then doesn't it make her Jewish as well too?
She was too far from the south. I mean, she was from Yemen, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was all the way in Yemen, and wasn't her kingdom bigger than Solomon's? Because now, like, I'm also thinking of the story as well, and there was. I keep thinking of the glass floor for some reason, like the water and the glass floor. I keep going back because that's a
Because
very
you're a dirty old man. Come on.
Hey, I heard this during Islamiyat class, well, the Islamic class that we have to take compulsory in Pakistan, and that's the only part of the story I remember. And apparently there's even parts of variations of narrations that the legs were hairy as well. There was even a narration on that. I don't know why. Like she was like a half demon or something, or half jinn. She was a half jinn apparently.
Yeah, no, for pre-Islamic Arabia, I know that Egyptians and such treated their women really well.
Yeah, we've had empresses as well in like ancient Egypt. Um, and like Cleopatra being one of the most famous ones. Um, and then we had
And then yeah, and like in Rome as well, like yeah, like there were also some slaves and such in the Roman Empire, but like they were treated with a lot more respect than Islam treats women.
yeah, we even had like an ancient Greek queen who's also in the 300 movie, like the sequel. That is, what's her name? The Greek queen.
I wouldn't take 300 as the
No, no,
ideal.
but like the historical figure, that is the historical, like the queen, that is. So
Oh,
there
I
was
did
a
it. I don't remember the name.
yeah, I don't remember the
Tell them.
name. She's mentioned in the movie, but very horribly represented. But she was one of the allies of the Persians during the wars of Ptolemus, that is. So I remember. Um, well, Izzy says something here that now I got distracted by this. It says why Iran has a different Islam than. Well, technically speaking, Iran's has follows more Shia Jafri doctrine, that is more Usuli Shia Jafri doctrine. Saudi Arabia follows a more Hanbali Sunni doctrine, so that's why you can see a big difference. Um, so that's the main difference between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And they're both like the rigid forms of it. So yeah, um, that's but stops back to your question. Shiva doesn't count.
That's misogynistic. You can't say that.
Shiva doesn't count. There's a little poking to the story, and she doesn't count.
When you guys said Shiva, I kind of thought of the dude that sits on Everest and meditates, the blue
The
gentleman.
blue guy? No, no, not Shiva, not him. Shiva, the Queen Shiva, not Shiva.
Yeah. Then yeah, it got clarified now. But like I was like, Shiva's not a woman.
She was not a woman. But anyway, do you? I think we've hit the nearly the 2 hour mark. We've had a lovely discussion today. Riz, do you have any final statements, parting words, any other questions, any things you want to add?
Just telling that I really enjoyed this show today. This is the first time talking about Islam with you, like with people. Never did this before, so I really enjoyed. Thank you so much for bringing me here.
No,
No,
come on, you are the one who's contributing here. I mean, I've only been here for a short while, but come on, it's eye-opening what you have to contribute.
Thank you.
and the stories you actually told us, like it was so bizarre, like some of the things that you told us, especially about like your own personal experiences with what your some of your cousins said, or like some of the things that you heard about, like the Mahdi one was just really shocking, like that what are we going to do with the and Stops and Jen, if you have the chance, or anybody, if you missed that portion, do rewind and see the portion where Riz explains the justification for slavery. And
Yeah, I was
yeah,
listening. That's pretty outlandish.
it was a very outlandish. So I learned some new
Mm,
things.
yeah, I've
Riz,
never heard any of those before. Like, there's a lot of crazy. Like, are these things coming from hadiths? Are these things like legends, or just like things that got carried over? Like, it'd be interesting to see where all these crazy things come from.
and even oral tradition too. Like, um, so it's very, thank you, Riz, so much for contributing, bringing something new.
Well, I always want to share these things, like how Islam like brainwashes people, especially women. So
Yeah,
I'm really happy that I could actually share these things here.
no worries. You're always welcome to the show anytime. And Nick, do you have any?
Every week.
Yeah, every week you can come to this show. And Nick, do you have any parting words or any final words? And I point a gun at you. Any last words?
Well, now I got to answer because I got a gun pointed at me. But yeah, my first thing would be so I think we clarified the stance that Daniel Hakikachu was debating. Women should be allowed to go to school, and I don't even know why that's a debate. Second thing is, yeah, I really enjoyed the conversation today, guys. And if that movie that I watched, it was a slightly lower budget movie, I also do recommend people taking a look at that as well.
The Kashmir Files, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely the recommendation. And Jen, do you have any parting words for us?
No, I mean, thanks for having me on. I think that we should definitely fight for our sisters to be educated, and no matter what situation that they're in. And also, I think that people need to stop sleeping on women, because we've been known to go to college, have a career, have a job, have kids, hold down to half a household, and be very successful. So, big up everyone.
All
Here,
right.
here. Well
This
said.
this sister Muslima makes a very good point.
Yeah, exactly.
We got jokes.
All right, Stops. Any last words? Points gone at you now.
Okay, I must admit, I enjoy as soon as there are females around. It sort of changes the atmosphere, and this is why I think it's brilliant that there are females of what do you call them, the members of the human race that are females or something. I don't know how to be like politically correct with this. That they actually come around and talk about this, because it's very rare actually, because normally it's men. If you go to Speaker's Corner, for example, 99% of the people there are men who talk about religions. That I don't know why that is. Why, when you're talking about these ideologies, so it's for me it's always brilliant when there are girls around in the chat. It's always, I don't know, it always brings something to the whole discussion. So I want to thank you girls very much for being here.
No, and I think Riz also explained earlier that it's
Thanks.
actually more difficult for when it's for females leaving ideologies and religions. Actually, the barrier is bigger, and there's more risks involved. I think that's why there's the danger aspect of it is higher.
It's also true. Yeah, it's another factor.
But thank you so much, Riz. Thank you so much, Jen, for joining us. Thank you, girls, so much for contributing to today's topic. We might even repeat this topic a few times if we have more female guests in the future. And Nick and I were just talking about that. So we might do more. We might come back to this topic over and over again, because this is very big. Yes.
And Stops. This comment that thinking clearly makes me remember of that video where someone hit a female on the head and made her bleed.
Yeah.
Well, Hatun got
That's Speaker's
stabbed.
Corner.
Yeah, Hatun
Yeah.
got stabbed. Yeah, no, it's very like risky, that is. So thank you so much, Riz, again. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Stops, for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night, everyone.
You too.
Nice to meet you, Riz.
Thank you. See you next week
What's up,
then. Cheery,
everyone?
bye.
See you next week. Bye.